Good afternoon, horse racing fans. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all in top form. I'm back some winners over the weekend as we head up towards Cheltenham returning this Friday and Saturday. We've also got some Group 1 action on the flat at Doncaster, so it should be a very impressive weekend coming up. And the weekend we just had Champions Day was pretty electric, to be honest. We saw some very nice performances. I was gutted about Baaeed, but we'll get on to him later. We'll start off in the Long Distance Cup, the Group 2, where Trushan won and beat a very game Coltrane, who might have been an unlucky loser, was snatched up with a circuit to go by Holly Doyle. She got 5 days for careless riding, and I think that's one where it was just stupid, really. She tried getting in, there was no room to get in, and she cut up David Probert. I think many people were quick to kind of diss Christophe Soumillon for his actions. Holly Doyle does it, and it's a different story. Not going to comment any more than that. She is a fantastic jockey, but it was just a moment of madness. If Coltrane had come down, David Probert had gone over the horse's neck and snapped his neck, it'd be a completely different story, which is why I believe it should be the incident that gets the ban and not the actual outcome, because the only reason she's serving a 5-day ban and not a 50-day ban is because the fact that David Probert didn't fall off. But enough about that. The horse was very game. 2 furlongs to go. It looked like Coltrane was coming there on the outside to win the race. Very powerful ride by Holly Doyle at the end of the day. And Trushan won going away, to be honest, at the end of the day. Could kind of tell in the last 50 yards that there was only going to be one winner, and that would Trushan, who has had a pretty impressive season, to be perfectly honest. Has swerved quite a few engagements, but look, was very impressive on comeback at Nottingham, then won the Northumberland Plate, and then was beaten at Goodwood and Doncaster. Maybe the ground wasn't right at Goodwood and it was kind of a bit of an iffy race at Doncaster, but back at Ascot won this race again, and is definitely going to be a powerful horse in the staying division. Is never going to be Kyprios though, let's get that thing straight. The ground can be as soft as you like. Kyprios is the ultimate stayer in the division for the next few years, at least, has age on his side as well. Moving on to the British Champion Stakes, Kinross made it 4 in a row, and I've backed him the previous 3 times. He's definitely had me in the money. He won impressively at York, then at Doncaster, then at Longchamp, and I just thought back to 6 furlongs, good to soft ground. The ground was never going to be an issue, but I just thought the Trippy might be out of his comfort zone a little bit too early on in the race. Was not the case at all. Travelled beautifully into the race. Great ride by Frankie Dettori. That was the first of 2 winners for him on another very successful Champions Day for him, and just won so impressively. The margin was 2.5 lengths. It could have been 4 or 5. He was so impressive. Frankie Dettori didn't have to do much in the final half a furlong. The second Run to Freedom, official rating of 108, and absolutely huge for Dane O'Neill and Henry Candy. Was beaten in a Group 3 quite convincingly last time. I was sent a 40 to 1 in a Group 3, was 150 to 1 and managed to finish second. If you back that, you're a much better judge than I am, and you should be giving some tips out instead of me. The third, Creative Force, kind of ran as well as I was expecting to, was pretty short in the market at 4 to 1, and I don't think he's actually done that much in his career to be as short as he was. Some people were calling him a certainty, although he kind of did win this race last year, but I thought that was a little bit of a weaker renewal. There were some mega horses in here. Tenor Boys and Ran OK dropped to 6 furlongs. A lot of people picked up on that angle. He probably is more of a 6 furlong horse. Does have plenty of speed for it, although just didn't have the gears of Kinross. Was kind of under the pump quite a long way out, but Kinross is a mega horse. I'll be pretty excited to see what he can do next year. Just keeps on getting better with age, and is one that could just keep this winning streak going for a bang in form trainer in Ralph Beckett. On to the fillies and mares. Emily Upjohn, who was favourite and pretty well backed as well, was opened up at 4 to 1, went off at 3 to 1, and John and Thady Gosden got their Champions Day winner. I don't think they had any the previous 2 years, so it was good for them to get one on the board, and was just simply much the best. Had been off the track since a very disappointing run in the King George, and has obviously got right. The connections have got her right for this race. Is suited by the 1.5 miles at Ascot, and I think the juice in the ground is key. Getting almost redemption for an unlucky second in the Oaks. Won a Group 1 at the end of the season. The horses in behind, I tipped up Ashada, was about 14-1, and it ran very well and managed to place. That won this horse last year, and she was given away to the younger horses this time round, and I think she ran very creditably. The 9th horse, Very Elegant, there's been a lot made of this horse. I think this horse was unlucky not to be running in the Arc. Based on this run, then probably wouldn't have done much in the Arc, to be honest. I have been a big fan of this horse. I just don't think it's kind of acclimatised to the European campaign. I think she was a mega horse in her heyday over in Australia and just hasn't been able to replicate that form since then. Whether she stays in China next year, I'm not too sure. She doesn't owe connections, well, her old connections, anything, so you just think that this horse might be retired, and it has been a wonderful career, so she's definitely one that I'd see happily retired. On to the Queen Elizabeth II now, in Spiral beaten, and there was excuses, to be honest. Could have easily won the race, you just don't know. Was so slow away, lost about 5 lengths at the start, and then there went no pace at all. Frankie Dettori, could he have rushed this horse up to try to be more prominent? Maybe, because the rides that he gave in Spiral, she could never have won. Might she have done too much too soon, rushed up and then gone backwards? Maybe, but if Frankie Dettori had his time again, he might try and do that and just try something different, because being held up 15 lengths off the lead on a slow pace, on soft ground at Ascot is very hard to make up that ground. So I think she's one that you can't write off. If she stays in training next year, might be a pretty impressive horse, because you just can't rule her out based on that one. You can just cross a line through it. The winner, Baaeed by Roger Vaillant, and he's having a brilliant time of things at the minute. Is kind of one of those that is just kind of getting to becoming a big trainer. He is a big name, but he's still quite young. He doesn't have the most firepower, but what he's done with the horses he has got has been pretty impressive, and you can see why horses and big owners are sending horses to Roger Vaillant. If you think of what he's done with horses like Eldarov, Baaeed Boy, who wasn't really ever considered a Group 1 horse, was okay winning in listed company last time out at Sandown, was suited by the soft ground then and the soft ground again today, but just, I would never have picked this horse to win the race. But Tom Marquand, picking up the spare ride in the Group 1, delivered this horse to perfection, stayed on strongly. It was a sustained challenge over about 2.5 furlongs, hit the line strongly, and is definitely one that, based on that performance, would be winning again and maybe over a little bit further as well. Pretty excited to see how he develops as a 4-year-old, maybe over 1.25 miles. On to the big race then. The Champion Stakes, 1.25 miles. Bay Bridge won, who, look, won the Group 1. You can't discredit him, but you just think that it's only because of the horses underperformed. And it's not, maybe, it just is. Baaeed should have been good enough to win this race. This horse is one that just keeps on winning, a typical Sir Michael Stoute improver, but you don't kind of wake up in the morning thinking about how special Bay Bridge could be. Was pretty disappointing when beaten here at Ascot 3 starts ago, was well beaten in the Coral Eclipse and got back on track today, but you just think we're not going to see much more from this horse going forward. Might only win because others are underperforming. It's a Group 1 horse at the end of the day, definitely deserves to be running in the race, but you just think that there was other more exciting horses in the race, none more so than Baaeed, who the late drift should have told you went 1-5 to 1-4. It was just so disappointing to see him beat, to be perfectly honest. I think the ground was much worse than Ascot gave credit for, good to soft, and was kind of a little bit keen earlier on. Jim Coley had to get him off the rail, and I just think that, why don't connections go to the Breeders' Cup now? They've got a few weeks to get Baaeed back. Look, he probably had a tough race, but if they just give him an easy couple of days and build him up, can they send him over to Keeneland for one last hurrah? I think this horse has been a magnificent horse, and if he can go and win a race at the Breeders' Cup, and then he can retire then, because if he is going to be a stallion, from what I know, is you can race now. He won't be going over there till the early parts of next year for his second career. So you just think, can they get one more run into him? Of course, the logistics are, if anything happens, then it's going to be a lot of money. But you just think that Shadwell are kind of put the sport before the money. I think they've got enough money to begin with. So I'd love to see this horse back on track again. I don't think we will, but he has been a mega horse. On to the last horse. Sheila won the Balmoral handicap, 20 runners over the mile, and this horse has kind of been a big improver. He's had plenty of racing. It was kind of this time last year he won at York off a mark of 96, and then he was winning again pretty impressively off a mark of 102. He's one that kind of has a spell of some good races, goes out of form, but he was banging form today. Brilliant ride by Jason Watson. My selection, Sweet Believer. Well, the form boost was there with Bayside Boy, who had beaten Sweet Believer by just over a length last time at Sandown. The money came in was about 12 to 1 into 8 to 1, and just got to the front too soon and then flattened out over the mile. Might have been better with a colder ride, but the jockey Adam Farragut did nothing wrong, and he's a very impressive £5 claimer as well. So Sheila is one that won impressively today. Will probably go up quite a few pounds in the handicap. Will be out of form, and then no doubt it'll pop up in another big handicap next season some point on soft ground. But overall, Champions Day was a very good day's race, and it's a shame about Baaeed. Let me know your comments in the comment selection down below. Who's gonna be the one that comes out of this Champions Day and wins? Again, there was quite a few stories in behind which might not have been the best of luck, so let me know in the comments down below who your horse to put in the track is after Champions Day. Thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.